One of the most underutilized techniques in all of Magic is feigning you having less skill than you actually have. And I think this is underutilized in the world of Magic because people want to show their skill. They want to show how much they've practiced. They want to show how much they've dedicated themselves to the craft. However, pretending that you have worse ability than you actually do is one of the most powerful techniques you can use in all of Magic. And today I'm going to show you guys a false shuffle with that idea in mind. First time I saw something similar to this is in Expert Card Technique. However, I've seen it in many other different publications, more card manipulations, and it's just a really crappy false riffle shuffle. That's what it is. However, don't let the crappy part deter you from learning this because the crappiness is where the method is hidden. Now, what I like about this is that it makes you look like you don't know how to shuffle a deck of cards. Now, the actual shuffle itself looks a little bit like this. It's just a simple riffle shuffle where we take the cards, we mix them together, and of course, in the action of squaring it up, that has accomplished the false shuffle. Now, usually this is best performed on your knee. So you would take the cards and shuffle them like this, where you interweave them on your knee, and then you finish the shuffle that way. If you want to do it on the table, this works as well, where you're able to apparently shuffle the cards on the table and then square them up just like this. And of course, that facilitates the shuffle itself. Now, the point is not to have a fancy waterfall at the end of the shuffle. The point is not to make it look like you have a lot of skill. As a matter of fact, this is a shuffle that's designed to show a lack of skill, and that's where you hide the actual technique itself. One of my favorite mentalists is Richard Osterland, and in his work he uses the breakthrough card system, which is a full deck stack. And one of the ways that he shuffles is like this. As a matter of fact, he does a more bold shuffle where he doesn't use a slip cut. Spoiler, I use a slip cut. What he does is that he just takes the cards like this, riffle shuffles them together, separates them, and then puts the cards back like that. That's all he does, and he does the shuffle on his knee. Now, Richard is capable of doing high-level card work. However, for his performances, he really dumbs it down and makes it look like he's a grandfather when it comes to handling a deck of cards. However, that is what he uses to hide the technique from the spectators. They see you shuffling a deck like that. They're not going to assume that you're this master card handler and you have the ability to do things with a deck of cards. So, without any further interruptions, let's get into the actual technique of the shuffle itself. So, first things first, you're going to hold the deck in your left hand. Then you are going to approach the deck with your right hand. However, what's going to happen here is you're going to lift off approximately half the cards in your right hand, almost like if it's a book. The reason for this is because you're going to use your left fingertips here to press and slip shuffle this top card to the middle of the deck. This is going to act as a cover card and going to allow us to provide a little bit more cover when actually doing the stripping portion of the cut and shuffle itself. So we're going to just open it like a book. We're going to press with our fingers here, and we're going to separate the cards in this way. So we're going to press with our fingers, and we're going to separate the cards as we reposition the cards for a riffle shuffle. So one more time, let me leave this card face up. We're going to slip cut this card into the middle, just like this. At the same time that we reposition, so we're bringing this hand, rotating it clockwise to the bottom half of this deck, so that we could just reposition the cards to shuffle, much like a standard riffle shuffle. So the same sort of idea would be if you're doing this. However, we're adding a slip cut in the middle of that. So that is where this deviates from a normal riffle shuffle. Now, once again, this card is going to act as a cover card to actually hide and mask the separation of the packets in a little bit. Now, preferably, you're going to do this on your knee. That would be the best way to do this because that looks like you really don't know how to shuffle a deck of cards. And one of the most telltale signs of an amateur card handler is the inability to riffle shuffle cards in the air. For some reason, anytime you see somebody riffle shuffle cards on a table because they don't know how to handle the cards in the air or use your knee, you can immediately tell that they're not someone that's seasoned when it comes to holding a deck of cards. So you're going to use that again to cover the actual method of the sloppy technique here. So what's going to happen, you're going to do the slip shuffle here. You're going to reposition the cards this way. And what's going to happen is that you're going to riffle shuffle the cards, and you're going to make sure that you end with, I would say, 10 to 15 cards in the left half and the last card here in the right half. Now you're going to weave the corners together. You're not going to weave the cards this way. You're going to weave the cards at an angle. The reason for this is because there's going to be less to separate when you actually separate the halves itself. You don't want to weave the cards too deep because then again, the separation is going to be very difficult to do. So you want to weave the cards at an angle here, weaving the lower right corner and the lower left corner here as you shuffle. Remember, you have a cover card here. So we're going to have that cover card be placed in the left half here. We're just going to riffle shuffle the cards together. Again, hopefully on a surface or your knee. we're going to leave a chunk of cards here on the left half, and then finally drop the remaining card here. Now what's going to happen is two actions at once. We're going to swivel this counterclockwise. So we're going to swivel this packet counterclockwise. At the same time, we're going to use this finger to push off that group of cards. Now this group of cards is going to act as a cover to actually hide the separation of the packets. So you notice that both packets are now separated, so that we could then square this up very haphazardly and complete the false shuffle. No card has changed position in the entire deck. And again, it's hidden by the apparent lack of control here. So one more time, we're in this position. We're going to riffle the inner edge. We're going to end with one card here and about 10 cards over here. We're going to swivel this, I would say counterclockwise. We're going to use our forefinger to spread the cards and make sure that a bunch of cards go directly underneath the two of hearts, which is going to cover the separation of both packets. We're going to square the cards up, and that's what's going to facilitate and complete the shuffle. Again, this is not a shuffle that's designed to look good. You're not doing a fake waterfall. This is a shuffle that's designed with the character of you not knowing how to handle a deck of cards. So this isn't a shuffle that you're going to do if you've been showing massive amount of skill throughout the entire performance. This is going to be a shuffle to do to establish credibility with the spectators through lack of technique, for lack of a better term there. So you're using this shuffle to establish yourself as being less capable with cards than you actually are, which again is a very, very interesting concept. You see this done by, as I mentioned earlier, Richard Osserlin. Leonard Green is another one that's used this technique tremendously, hiding technique in chaos. But here you're hiding the technique in lack of handling, apparent lack of handling. So one more time, just for the sake of completion here, this card is going to be the cover card. We're going to slip cut. We're going to make sure that we are left with approximately 10 to 15 cards in this hand. We're going to reposition the cards this way. We're going to lift up, and we're going to square these cards up as best we can into the actual left-handed half underneath the cover card, and that's what's going to complete this false shuffle. I do recommend doing the shuffle on your knee. I recommend bringing the cards down on the table. I recommend doing this shuffle as early on in your performance as possible and keeping to it if it's consistent with your character. So this isn't going to be a false shuffle for everyone. This is going to be a false shuffle that's good for people that want to establish lack of credibility when it comes to handling playing cards with the spectators. So if you're a mentalist, this works out tremendously well because you're hiding it and you're not supposed to be good at cards. You're just using cards as, objects. This is going to be great if you are trying to pretend to be a little bit more amateurish than you actually are, but you are doing a full deck false shuffle and hiding it with apparently bad technique. So that's a wonderful little bit of a false shuffle. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for being members of the Pigcake Magic Academy, and I hope to see you on the next lesson.